Law firm lavish party, the night my marriage ended. The music was expensive. It wasn't the kind of music you heard, it was the kind you wore, like silk stitched into the air. A string quartet against velvet curtains, their bows slicing tension more than melody. Glass clinked, laughter rippled, and champagne bubbled like liquid lies. The firm knew how to host. Every corner of the ballroom dripped with wealth. The partners loved theater, and tonight, we were the spectacle. I stood near the dance floor, watching her, my wife. She moved differently here. Her smile was sharper, curated. She laughed too loudly at her colleagues' jokes, leaned too closely toward the man from Mergers. And when I reached for her hand, when I leaned in, daring to kiss her under the crystal light, she pulled back. Not with the coy shyness of a woman surprised, no, with a glare. A hiss under her breath, sharp enough to slice my throat. Seriously? Stop. You're making a scene. I don't want to be tied down. Her words cut through me louder than the orchestra. Tied down. I looked at her, studied her. The disdain in her eyes wasn't new. It had been waiting for this stage. I slipped my ring off, slowly, deliberately, placed it on the nearest table. The metal clinked against marble like a gunshot. And suddenly the music, the laughter, the conversations, none of them mattered. What mattered was that every set of eyes nearby turned toward me, toward her, toward the ring. My single status became the most expensive piece of gossip in the room. I smiled, cold, controlled, because the real performance had just begun. It didn't start tonight. Betrayal never begins under chandeliers. It starts in shadows. Months ago, I noticed the shift. Small at first. Her phone angled away from me. The quiet text alerts at midnight. The new perfume she swore was on sale. At first, I dismissed it. People grow, change, but growth doesn't smell like another man's cologne. I told myself I was imagining it, that her long hours at the firm's Peck division were just deadlines, not desires, that her sudden coldness wasn't rejection, just exhaustion. But lies echo differently when they come from someone you share a bed with. The first real crack? Her slip of the tongue. One night, half asleep, she whispered a name that wasn't mine. Quiet, tender, a softness in her voice I hadn't heard in years. It wasn't the name of a client, it was a man from her office, a junior partner, the kind who lived for late nights, closed doors, and confidential meetings. I said nothing, just stared at the ceiling, replaying it in my head until the word lost meaning. But suspicion doesn't fade, it calcifies. I started watching. Her patterns, her excuses, the sudden importance of Friday nights, the way she brushed me off with a smile rehearsed too well. And tonight confirmed it. She wasn't embarrassed by me. She wasn't afraid of a scene. She was afraid of the chains of marriage holding her back from the life she'd already stepped into with someone else. I didn't need her confession. I needed proof. And proof was something I knew how to collect. I played the long game. At home, I stayed quiet, patient. I became invisible in my own marriage, a ghost observing every movement, every word. The less she noticed me, the easier it became to study her. First step, the phone bill. Not hers, mine. Our joint account. Patterns emerged, numbers repeating at odd hours, long calls labeled office, text spikes at 1 a.m. I didn't confront her. Confrontation ends the game too early. I wanted her unguarded. I bought a prepaid phone, quiet, disposable. Using an old friend's help in IT, I traced those numbers. Not illegal, not yet. Just information. Just observation. Then the social media trail. Buried likes, late-night comments she deleted by morning. But screenshots don't vanish. The hardest part was pretending. At breakfast, I poured her coffee, smiled when she mentioned working late, kissed her cheek before she left in a rush. Inside, I was cataloging, building a case the way a lawyer does before court. Every lie stacked neatly on the shelf, waiting for the day it collapsed under its own weight. When suspicion wasn't enough, I turned to the one thing that would never lie: DNA. She'd been distant, but not entirely cold. There were still nights, rare, rehearsed, mechanical. I waited, collected what I needed, sent it off quietly, an unmarked envelope to a lab that owed me favors. Weeks later, the results came back. Negative. I wasn't the father of the child she was already carrying and hadn't yet told me about. The betrayal was complete. She was pregnant, and she hadn't said a word. She wanted a fresh start, a new family, but not with me. I folded the results neatly, placed them back in the envelope, and tucked it into my jacket pocket. I didn't rage, I didn't break, I planned. The party was the stage. It always had to be. Her firm's annual gala. The partners, the associates, the clients, all gathered under chandeliers that cost more than most people's homes. She thrived in this setting. It was her kingdom. And that's why I chose it. When I dropped my ring on the table, it wasn't impulsive. It was a signal. A knife unsheathed. She froze, eyes widening, not from guilt, but from calculation. She was scanning the room, the whispers, the witnesses. I leaned close, my voice low enough only for her. "You should have told me." Her breath hitched. "Told you what?" I smiled faintly, the kind of smile that unnerves, not comforts. That it isn't mine. Her face drained. For once, her perfect mask slipped. A flicker of panic, quickly buried under indignation. "You don't know what you're talking about." I reached into my jacket, pulled out the envelope, placed it on the table beside the ring. The partners glanced over, curious, hungry. Her hand trembled as she stared at it. She didn't open it. She didn't need to. She knew. "Don't," she whispered, her voice cracking. But silence was louder than shouting. I pushed the envelope slightly closer, just enough for the nearby eyes to catch the bold black letters: DNA results. No need for drama, no accusations, just quiet exposure. And in that silence, she broke. I didn't yell, I didn't strike. I simply stood, collected. The room buzzed with whispers, curiosity turning to realization. Every stolen glance confirmed it. Her reputation wasn't just dented, it was gutted.